Hey, it's Mr. Johns. Welcome to Unit 5, Driving Safe, Sane, and Sober. I love that title. When I came up with it years ago, I thought that's really what this is all about. Safety, sane, right? You're thinking things through, and sober, obviously. Free of drugs and alcohol in your system while you do the driving. So it's really what it's all about. So let's take a look at driving other than getting from one place to another. Some people, that's all they care about. Like, when I get my license, great, I can just go from point A to point B. But the goal really is to do it safely, right? So point A to point B safely. So we know that athletes prepare for their competitions, leaders prepare speeches. I'm a teacher, I prepare my lessons. Pilots go through this big, long checklist preparing to fly. Drivers just jump in and go. And not only that, sometimes they're impaired or not thinking straight or distracted. So really, we need to have the mentality that we need to prepare to drive. You know, after all, we're jumping in a 2,000, 3,000 pound vehicle and flying down the road. So when you think about it, it's a fairly dangerous activity. So think about your emotions when you get in the car. They do affect the way you drive. If you're angry, if you just failed a test, if you're excited about a concert coming up or a video game that's coming out, your mind might be somewhere else. And honestly, you're going to drive differently. It happens. So you're human. So your emotions can affect your driving. So drive accordingly. I mean, if you know you're angry, slow down. Take a deep breath, because chances are you're going to speed a little bit, right? And if you're depressed or tired, you might be driving a little bit slower and not paying as much attention. So just be aware that emotions affect your driving, as does your health. So if you have a flu, head cold, toothache, some kind of injury, you're not going to drive as safe. And all of us have days where we don't feel well, but we have to drive to get to school, get to work, etc. So be aware and drive accordingly. Drugs should be obvious, though I have had discussions with multiple people who think there are some drugs that are perfectly fine to use while driving. But I think it's obvious that driving requires 100% of your attention. And so what do drugs do? They alter that focus. All drugs, a little bit. Some, a lot. So, big paragraph here, but the effects of specific drugs differ depending on how they act in the brain. For example, marijuana can slow reaction time, impair judgment of time and distance, and decrease coordination. Drivers who have used cocaine or meth can be aggressive and reckless when driving. Certain kinds of sedatives can cause dizziness and drowsiness. All of these impairments can lead to vehicle crashes. So, obviously any substance. I love this picture because it's what experts are saying, kind of what it looks like when you are impaired. I wouldn't want to be driving down the road with that as my sight, as what I see. Keep in mind that if you're impaired, you don't really think that through, like, oh, this is really blurry, I can't really tell, so I should pull over. You're also not thinking straight. So not only A, is this could be what you see, but B, you're not making decisions. So marijuana is the drug that I was talking about, where people have argued with me that it's perfectly fine, doesn't affect your driving, it's not a real drug. Disagree. I've had friends, pretty heavy users of marijuana, and I've seen the effects. Some users argue that smoking pot does not affect driving, but research has shown that it increases lane weaving, reduces reaction time, and takes a driver's attention from the road. Well, would you want to drive with a stoned driver if you knew he was smoking marijuana? So it is a hallucinogen. That's the category that it goes in. So hallucinogen. NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, reports that smoking marijuana increases your chances of crashing by 25%. So just every time you get in the car with a stoned driver, or if you are high, 1 in 4 chance that you're going to get in a crash. Not great, not great. Alcohol, how big of a problem is it? 25 people in America die every day in a drunk driving vehicle crash, and that's one every 50 minutes. 10,000 deaths a year. The good news is drunk driving fatalities have dropped 1/3 in the past 3 decades. I don't know if maybe the drinking and driving stigma, commercials, advertising, I don't know what it is. It's good news. There are fewer fatalities because of drunk driving. However, 10,000 deaths a year, that's still a lot. Still too many. And one is too many when it's your friend, your girlfriend, your mom, etc. All right, let's look at the legal limits. You'll need to know these numbers for tests in the future. And just so you know it, 0.02 is the limit for you, anybody under 21. So why is it 0.02? That's because there is a little bit of alcohol in some things like cough syrup, some things like that. So if you have a cough and you do your little 2 tablespoons or whatever before school, and then you drive, you could have 0.01 of alcohol in your system, believe it or not. So there's a little bit of flexibility. Now if you drink half the bottle, yeah, bad idea. You're going to be over the 0.02, and yeah, that would be a DUI, driving under the influence. So all right, 0.08 is what it is for adults. Honestly, why is it more? I don't know. I honestly, it probably should be the same for adults, but excuse me, they are allowing adults 0.08, and that is probably, as I take a drink of my mocha frappe, non-alcoholic drink, I guess that's allowing for I hate to even say what it's allowing for. It's allowing for a beer, and then you let it kind of dissipate and get out of your system, and you can then drive home. I don't agree with it, right? I mean, it really should be 0, right? Well, 0.02. I understand the cough syrup argument, but 0.08, just so you know, that's the law, right? It allows 0.08 for those who are 21 and over. So eliminating alcohol, there's a lot of myths. You cannot speed it up. So this chart here pretty much shows how long it takes to get out of your body, and it just, even if you take a shower, drink coffee, the thing here in the middle, time is the only thing. Time, you can't speed it up. So you can kind of figure out how long it would take for it to get out of your system. So for every 1 hour you're not drinking, about 0.015 disappears, right? Goes through your liver, which is why alcoholics have liver disease a lot of times. So it filters through your liver. So this kind of shows you what the time would take after 1 hour. Your B.A.C. would be 0.065. Now for you, that's a DUI. After 2, and it doesn't really say, I'm looking for how much you drank. Let me see. Does it say that anywhere? Not really. I guess we're assuming you drank a beer, 1 beer. And that's what I'm assuming. After 2 hours, you're 0.05. After 3 hours, you're 0.035. Finally, after 4 hours, you would be legal, 0.02. 4 hours after drinking a beer. So it takes a while to get out of your system. That's why it's so important to have a designated driver if you're planning on doing any drinking at all anyway. All right, so it is different from between men and women. So you can find yourself on this chart, men over here on the left, and males. So you can find your body weight in pounds and then how many drinks. And so I usually say, let's just stick with 1 beer. Let's do guys. Guys, 1 beer. If you are 160 pounds, this is going to basically tell you that you're going to have 0.02 after 1 beer. Okay, so if you drink a beer, 0.02, you are, I wouldn't say you're fine to drive, right? I would never say that, but I would say legally 0.02, you would not get a ticket, but never good to be impaired. Okay, so if you are 160 pounds, now if you drink a second beer, you're over 0.05. So that's what this chart pretty much says. And for anybody who's up, except for if you're up in the 160 pound range, one beer will not put you over. But for everybody else, one beer, if you're under 160 pounds, obviously 140, 120, you're going to be over. All right, so that's what that means. All right, so and for girls, it takes less, right? So that's the chart on the right is just going to show. So I mean, for a 120 pound girl, one beer, 0.04. They're already twice, right? One beer. So keep that in mind, guys and girls, because we're here to protect each other. One beer for a girl, 120 pounds, will put her over. She shouldn't be driving a little bit intoxicated. Okay. All right. So the summary basically is the majority of teenagers are quickly over the legal limit with only one alcoholic drink. That's the summary. Just be aware of that. One beer, one shot of whiskey, one wine cooler, you're over. Pretty much most teenagers over the limit. All right, so it does affect everybody differently, but it affects your attention, your memory, your emotions, your aggression, your vision, your decision making, risk taking, space management. Sound familiar? It's all driver's ed stuff. So they don't mix. Now, if you want to party, you want to drink, you have to plan for it. Once you're drinking, you don't have the ability to make decisions, and so you have to plan for it. Booze is booze. We all know that from health class. That's why we say a beer is the same as a glass of wine, which is the same as a shot of whiskey, etc. Just because it tastes better doesn't mean it's less alcoholic. So, be a good friend. And that was me in high school. Didn't really love alcohol as a drink. And so I was kind of the buddy. I was the guy who would like, hey, make sure you ask him to come to the party because I would make sure everybody got home okay. I was proud of that, and that was just something I did. I kind of liked to be at the party, but I didn't want to not remember the party. So, you can kind of be the hero, be the designated driver. Keep in mind, I'm not saying go do that, because if you're at a party where there's alcohol and it's underage, you are breaking the law just by being there. So I didn't say that. All right, buzzed driving is drunk driving. So this is kind of the latest ad thing you'll see on TV. Some people think, oh, I'm just buzzed. Well, buzzed means you're getting drunk, right? Buzzed means your brain is already frazzled a little bit. So you're too drunk to drive if you're buzzed. So DUI doesn't just mean booze, and this obviously is pills, marijuana, other stuff. All right, medications. Unfortunately, there's a rise in the use of medications. They're easy to get. People just popping them like they're candy. Can cause all kinds of issues. I'm so sad that this is going on. And then they get in the car and drive. So it is also impaired driving. So drug and alcohol use can impair driving by affecting critical thinking and motor skills. In 2009, I know it's a while ago, but 1 in 3 drivers killed in car crashes had drugs in their system. So it's causing crashes and deaths. More than 31 million people drove after drug or alcohol use in 2013. And the highest age group, 18 to 25. So kind of college age. But if you look down here at the bottom, you'll see 12 to 17. Your age group, 2%. 2% of your population is driving under the influence. So sad. Fatigue. We're all tired. We're all just pushing it, right? We're all burning the candle at both ends, they say. So 1 in 25 adult drivers report having fallen asleep while driving in the past month. 72,000 crashes are caused by sleepy drivers every year. An estimated 6,000 deaths are caused by sleepy drivers each year. And while the number of drunk drivers is going down, tired drivers is going up. We're all just getting more tired, School, work, sports, studying. Busy. So we're not sleeping well, and we're anxious, and it affects our driving. So again, kind of like your mood, be aware. If you're tired, be aware. And there are some You don't want to see this guy driving next to you on the freeway, right? 21% of all car accidents that result in a fatality involve drowsy driving now. That's a fifth. A fifth of all fatalities. Someone was tired. So we call it defensive driving. So you might be fine. You might be sober, focused, in a great mood. Not everybody else is. So defensive driving. Be defensive. Look around you. People might be weaving. People might be texting, sleeping, falling asleep, drinking, on cough syrup, high, pissed off. There's people on the road are doing everything except for driving and maybe not in the right frame of mind. It's a little scary, but be defensive. If you see something, back off. Give them space. If they're going to crash, just get out of their way. Aggressive driving. These things include failure to yield the right of way, speeding, weaving, running stop lights, following too close, cutting off other drivers. 52% of Idaho crashes happen because of aggressive driving. It's not road rage. Aggressive driving is just like speeding, being in a hurry. That's aggressive. Cutting people off. It's not angry. It's just aggressive. And that's kind of normal, unfortunately. So don't be that type of driver. My goal with this class is you're going to be one of those like, he's a good driver, man. I can trust him or her. Road rage, the Terminator, that's kind of extreme. But yeah, road rage is when anger or violence happens between drivers. So yelling, flipping someone off, gestures like that, like dangerous driving meant to intimidate or harm other drivers, even pulling out a weapon, a baseball bat, a gun. And it's just people letting the anger get the best of them. And they can crash into each other, jump out and start fighting. And sometimes they end in injuries or death. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's over driving, right? So relax, take a deep breath, let that person go. Whatever they're angry about, hope they get over it. Just get out of their way. All right. So self-imposed anxieties. Another way to drive safely is to control your anxiety. Leave early. I hate rushing around. There's a couple things. I have some anxiety issues anyway, like a lot of people do. So it doesn't help me to always be running late. And I'm just worried that I'm late. I'm going to be late. I'm going to walk in late. They're going to look at me. What if the light turns red? What if there's a crash? That's a lot of anxiety. Leave early. So wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do. Get in your car, put on some music. Know that you've got 10 or 15 extra minutes. That's awesome. Also, don't speed everywhere you go. If you get in the habit of speeding 5-10 miles over the speed limit, you're always looking for cops, right? Always. Okay? I used to drive that way when I was a teenager. Lots of friends who did, lots of friends who still do. You're always looking for cops. You're always nervous. You're going to get pulled over. That's a self-imposed anxiety. You drive comfortably within the speed limit. Even if a police officer passes you, not a problem. Not breaking any laws. Relax. Okay? So, also, it's not a competition. People do. Now, I drive a Mustang that's all souped up and has racing stripes and a racing number on it. I'll have to put a picture up sometime. But people are trying to race me all the time. I'm not interested, right? But even in normal cars, people are always trying to beat each other. It's a weird competition thing, maybe more between guys. Like you don't want to be slower or you don't want to, I don't know what that's about. Let it go. It doesn't matter. All right, distracted driving, one of the biggest issues now, it's replaced drunk driving. So when I say, hey, drunk driving crashes are down, so excited about that, but it's been replaced 100 times by distracted driving. This poor guy, that's obviously extreme, but probably not that unrealistic. He shouldn't be on his laptop, and he probably shouldn't be eating, and he shouldn't be on the phone. He can't maybe control his kids in the backseat, but distracted driving has become the drunk driving of your generation. And I have to worry about it because people around me are texting and driving. And now it is against the law in Idaho, finally, that you cannot be on your phone while driving unless it's hands-free. Doesn't mean people are going to follow that law, right? Just because there's a law against drunk driving doesn't mean people are going to all of a sudden stop drinking and driving. So be aware. But the law is the law. Distracted driving is so easy. When cars were invented, the faster speeds were distracting. In 1913, windshield wipers were said to be too distracting, so they should take them back off cars. In the 1930s, radios were distracting. 1950s, fast food like McDonald's, people were eating in their car, distracting. 1980s, cell phones, distracting. All kinds of music throughout the time. 8-tracks, cassettes, CDs, now digital, distracting, right? Smartphones have changed everything. It is like, smartphones are awesome. I'm a tech teacher in my full-time life. So I love technology, and smartphones are like a portable everything. Computer, phone, video camera, everything. It's amazing. I don't think we really thought about it, though. Like, people are going to use them while they're going 60 miles an hour down the road, not looking at the road. That's a distraction. So it's not just like putting in a cassette tape, which was distracting for about 5 seconds. But these phones are awesome. But if you are texting and Instagramming and leaving messages and comments and all that stuff while you're driving, and sadly, most young drivers think they can handle it, right? Because I can text and drive. I can multitask. Divided attention is a thing that doesn't exist, right? I mean, the ability to have divided attention. So many things can be done with divided attention. You do it all the time, but you can't do it safely when you're driving. So, I mean, you probably don't have 100% attention on anything. That's right. We are that kind of, and I'm older than you, but ADHD generations here. These devices, which I love, it makes it so our attention to things is very, very short and quick. It makes it so it's not possible to really focus on more than one thing at the same time. So even though you might think you can eat, talk, text, whatever while driving, you can't. And research has shown that there's really no such thing as multitasking, that phrase is false. Divided attention just means you're trying to do too many things at the same time, and you're just not focusing. You're not giving any one thing the attention it deserves. That includes like a friend who's talking to you. You're on your phone. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Right. Just little things like that. That has a big consequence. Your friend thinks, oh, he really doesn't care what I have to say. He's not really paying attention to me. He doesn't really like me. There's a lot of stuff. This is pretty deep. So learn to focus on one thing at a time. And when it comes to driving, focus on the driving, right? In America, more than 40,000 people are killed in car crashes every year, and over 3 million are injured. Distracting driving contributes to more than 25% of these. Those under the age of 21 are most likely to be distracted. That's you. That's you. You're most likely to be distracted. So don't fool yourself and say, well, my generation can handle it. We know how to do it. I can text without even looking. Awesome. But you'll be most distracted while driving. Okay, those in their 20s are most likely to use their cell phone while driving, college age. Those between the ages of 30 and 49 are most likely to be eating while driving. Those over the age of 50 are most likely to be distracted by stuff outside their car. Older people, outside the car, just things are distracting. So your job as a good driver is to avoid distraction. That's your job. Avoid it. Just drive. That's become kind of our catchphrase. Just drive. Just drive. Limit the number of friends you allow in your car, especially your first year. Don't have 6 people in the car. You're going to be distracted. I would be distracted. Keep the volume of your music low enough so you can hear stuff outside. I like loud music. You have to be able to hear honking, sirens, etc. Adjust all your comfort audio features before you go. Air conditioning, all that stuff. Never look at your phone while driving. And now it's against the law. Just drive. So, I don't know if I've updated this since the law just changed. Let's see. It's illegal to look at your phone while driving or at a stoplight or a stop sign unless it's running. Okay, it is illegal to look at your phone while driving or at a stoplight or a stop sign unless it's running. That's correct. Okay, so maybe I have updated this. So GPS is okay. You can't be like typing in stuff. That's texting. Do it beforehand, but it can be running a GPS. So because it is illegal to look at your phone while driving, right? That's texting. It's taking in information. The exception is a navigation app. It is illegal to operate any app or function on your phone while driving unless it can be done with one touch or voice activated. And that's tricky, and I've tried that a couple times. Like, okay, I want to do this. I want to listen to this song. If I can't do it in one touch, it's texting, right? So voice activated is okay, and you can't hold a phone or talk while driving. It has to be hands free. So this took us a long time to get there. This has been a law in other states for a while. Idaho, finally, it is a law because it's dangerous. Yeah, it sucks I can't Facebook at a stop sign. It sucks that I can't look up an address or, type in a phone number while I'm driving. Even though I think I can do it, that's called texting and driving. All right, just drive, just drive, just drive, just drive. All right, that's all, folks. So hopefully you picked up a few things from that. Just drive. That's the thing. Just drive. Stay safe, sane, and sober. Stay alive. I want you to be a great driver, and I don't want to see your name in an obituary related to a traffic crash. Be a great driver, and I will talk to you soon.